Right. So we are now recording, and why don't we get the meeting started? I just put the agenda into the chat, and as usual, we are going to go kind of quickly, but if anybody does have anything that they want to add on any of these topics, feel free to raise your hand, just unmute, any of that fun stuff. So the first item that we have on the agenda is I was thinking about it the other day, and we haven't really put out a call for new members in quite a while. And there's been a lot of new employees at the college as well, who may not even know what the Green Team is or what we do, what we're working on. So one of the things that I've started, and I sent this around to a number of folks, is a draft of an everyone email that I want to send out before the end of the week. My goal is either tomorrow or Thursday. And just to summarize all the different projects we're working on, and also let new members know how they can join us if they want to come and join us and come to these meetings or join us on any of our events or anything like that. So if you are working on a current Green Team project, you should have gotten a copy of that email. If you think you're working on a Green Team project and you don't know what I'm talking about, please send me an email and let me know, and we will see if we can figure that out. So let's see here. Anybody have any thoughts or anything on that email? Again, that'll be going out either tomorrow or Thursday is the plan. And I know I see a couple people on this call who I know are working on things. So if you want to change anything about the text of what I have in your project, just reach out and let me know. Okay, next item is signage for campus bins. And I know Tammy has the signs in hand herself. Cody, have you gotten, I was going to ask Deb in this meeting, but she told me she couldn't make it. Do you know if we've gotten the fasteners for those signs?
Yeah, those were dropped off to me, and then Tammy also picked those up. So it should all be stored together right now, over in facilities over there.
Great. So all we need to do is figure out how we're going to get those up. That would be a good thing to do probably over the spring break week if folks are going to be around and have a little bit of extra time. Cody, I'm going to go to you again. I don't know if that's something you feel comfortable, at least getting the first couple ones up so that people have a frame of reference. Then maybe some other folks can volunteer to help out and take over getting the rest up.
Yeah, sure. I will only be on campus Thursday and Friday for spring break week, but I can certainly probably get most of them or some of them hung up. I haven't really
Great.
been involved in that process yet, so I would need to meet with somebody who knows more of the details about where they're going and what they're replacing. But I'd be happy to go around and hang those up in some time on those days.
Cool. Sounds good. I think they were designed to kind of be like, I've heard that down by the one stop, there's some signs that are hung up in a similar fashion. But Deb and Tammy know more about that. And maybe, maybe somebody else in the meeting knows more about that too. If you do, feel free to help us out. Otherwise, sounds like they're going to get working on that. Okay, excellent. Anything else on the bins before Tina? We're going to move on to you and Roberta. I don't see Roberta or Deb here. So again, I'm going to say that we came up with this title with AI because those are all the tools that everybody's using. So I kind of put a bunch of prompts in there and something about like how would you title a initiative that does this and this, and Tina, I'll let you kind of take it away from here.
Yeah, I mean, the last week, the last time everyone met, it was like high school spring break, so our winter break. So I kind of wanted to check out Green Team, and Krista Gray and Christina Wynn joined the meeting, and they shared that there's sort of an issue on campus with people bringing their own appliances, and it has an environmental impact, it has a cost, and actually sometimes it even causes damage because of surges. And so they asked the Green Team to perhaps bring some awareness. So I was gonna maybe go over a draft with Roberta and Deb today. They're not here. Also, I did ask for a list of the shared appliances and shared kitchen spaces on campus. We don't have that, but I know you were speaking, Christian, that maybe a post, because I was thinking instead of like emails can be a lot sometimes, and maybe in the shared spaces, that there could be a postcard that sort of brings awareness to this issue. I didn't, I'm guessing it's easy enough for marketing to be pulled in when, especially because it's an ask of Christina and Chris. It's really, a bigger picture. But I guess my question that I would pose for people is, there's a little blurb that I prepared, raising awareness around people bringing their own appliances to work. But then, and also here are some spaces where you can be encouraged to use, but then how big of a message do we want to share? Because if we add in what are the benefits, then it's kind of getting longer. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe what I could do is just share. I don't have a listserv of your entire group because I think there's more people here than were on the last one. Maybe it is time for me to send it and then share it with folks, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Tina, I took a look at what you had, and it's more than a good start. It's most of the way there. So I think if we plan on postcards and like you said, and then also following up with more details, because you can only fit so much on a postcard. And I'm sure that Chris and Christina will help us out. And Sean, it looked like you had a real life hand up, or were you waving to somebody? Oh, Sean, I think you're muted on your headset.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So we did we vote on this? I wasn't at the last meeting. Did we vote at the last meeting that this was a thing that we thought the green team should do?
I think we did. Like I don't think it was an official vote where we like counted and all that, but I think we kind of opened it up to everybody who was there and nobody dissented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a reason that Christina, didn't want to be the party to sort of send the information around?
She didn't say, but I would guess it probably has to do with just, the messaging, who it's coming from. If it comes from more of a green team perspective and lens, then it's a little different than if it comes from one of the college vice presidents saying, don't plug in your fridges and blah, blah, because they're not trying to tell people you can't have these things. They don't want, in fact, she said in the meeting, they don't want to make it an official policy that they then have to enforce. They kind of want people to come to their own realization and say, like, do I really need to have a microwave when I can kind of just walk down the hall and use a microwave there, and or a refrigerator might be an even better example. And she also mentioned toasters. There's all kinds of, like, people have like full kitchens, I think, in some areas on campus, that they're the only ones who use it. And rather than pass a policy, it sounded like she kind of wanted some, like, just a really good message to help people frame it a little bit differently.
Okay.
And as far as coming up with the resources to make this happen, like, it seems like a really good idea. It's kind of the same idea where we don't have a lot of we encourage people not to have their own trash bin in their office, to use a common trash bin. Since we were finding most of the waste was actually the plastic from the trash bins themselves. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And again, it's like nobody's going to make anybody do anything, but the first step is always education. So we figured we give that a try. And the postcard sounds like a good idea. So Tina, we'll kind of take everything that we have up to this point, and we'll try to get it ready with either the postcard. We could do the blog post really anytime. So maybe we do that first and then work on the postcards with marketing.
Also, I think you might only have an email draft, in which case at that point, some of the wording was, I asked people to consider an alternate decision. And
Yes.
actually I reworded it where it's strictly educational, not even asking. So I put it on a Word doc, and now the wording is less asking people and really just strictly awareness. Did you know this or consider this? So maybe I'll send that to you and Deborah and Roberta. Because like I said, going along with what Sean was asking, it sounds like instead of making a policy, what Chris and Christina were framing it as, like, is that something we'd be interested in asking, like a campaign of awareness, like,
Right.
so I'll
And why don't-
resend that because I
Yeah.
think it's more educational rather than even asking people to make a change right away.
And when you do, could you add Cody and Sean to that since they're also part of the green team leadership so they can see what's going on?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And that way we can make any adjustments before we, put it all out there. However, I mean, it sounds like it's in alignment with the green team mission to me. Even if, and if folks think otherwise, please feel free to, speak up or contribute or email any of us offline. Email Tina directly or me directly, and we can certainly work all that out. All right. So next item on the agenda, if no one has anything, Sean, I saw you on mute. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I apologize because I wasn't at this meeting and I haven't
Yeah.
watched the YouTube, so I stipulate that that's not terribly helpful. Was this being framed by, I mean, is this a cost issue for the college? I assume we're out of pocket for the extra electricity. So there's really two issues here. If it's a financial issue for the college, framing it as a green issue is a kind of way of getting them to not have to make the argument, because it's not going to be a popular argument. And people don't want to be educated about this. I mean, we've done the education with the little trash cans, and my colleagues have trash cans. It's out. So I'm supportive, and I think that, the educational aspect is important, but I also think, quite frankly, we need to be clear, is the concern really for a green campus? Because if it's concern for a green campus, then we should have a policy. Like, this college should have a policy for that. It's a serious issue. That's not a lightweight issue to me. But if we're just trying to kind of take some of the burden off the folks in the finance side that don't want this additional work of having to either educate or be perceived as scolds for what people are doing in their office, I don't kind of know where we as a green team land with that. I don't think we should be afraid of policies. I don't think we should be afraid of vice presidents saying, hey, you know what? There's a problem we have on this campus. Let's get our act together.
And also, Sean, I just want to add on the draft. I even wrote, I said the green team apostrophe, and I wrote, or parentheses that I wrote, and facilities. Like I guess it would be good to know who is the message coming from, because it may be a joint thing. I was surprised that people are bringing, that they're actually causing damage. It's not just even cost. There's been situations where what they said was some people, where they're plugging in, is actually causing other people on campus to not be able to use their office properly. So it was pretty alarming. But
yeah, and it sounds, thank you for saying that, because it sounds to me like we have data that's making it clear that this is actually, a problem on the campus. And to me, I'm not sure why we're opposed to a policy on that. I mean, if we think that a letter from the green team is going to change anyone's mind, that's fantastic. But I just, I think it's okay for us sometimes to kind of, I don't know, be a little more aggressive with that. And also to just sort of make sure that, we're partnering with other folks with respect to that. I like the idea of integrating facilities, and I would absolutely reference the fact that we have this information coming out of Christina, out of the business office, that this is having an impact on the campus, and we got to get pulled together as a team on this.
Don, I really appreciate you speaking out on that. Like that, it's different perspectives are kind of what it's all about. And the tricky thing here is, and please, other people chime in, is I kind of agree with every single side of this. This is one of those issues where I can see where those folks who are dealing with this might want the initial message to come from the green team rather than through a supervisor or through policy. And there are times where if it really is having the impact that we're being told, that maybe a policy is really the right way to go. That's a really interesting idea. And honestly, I don't know where we go with that. Maybe we meet somewhere in the middle. And
We just, I apologize, Christian, for interrupting
no,
you.
no, you're fine.
We just lost a winter. Like we didn't have a winter, right? So
Yeah.
this stuff is serious stuff. Like to me, this is non-trivial things. Like if we're going to be a green team and we're going to be kind of representative of that, it just feels to me like, these are there are high stakes here in this question. Like this yokes us to a real problem, globally, locally, et cetera. So I just don't, I just think it's okay to kind of be more aggressive about it. But I also, again, I want to be respectful and those of you who felt like it was appropriate to do this. I don't not support doing the letter. I just wanted to make sure there was some recognition that, I think as the green team, I think it's okay for us to be a lot more proactive and kind of, call, whatever. Yeah.
No,
Interestingly enough, when I was researching what other schools were doing, Minnesota is the only state that was having a policy where people that worked for the state or state buildings, they said you can't bring your appliances to work. I was surprised.
it almost makes me feel like there's a story there in Minnesota. Like I can just see a row of offices where everybody's making toast all at the same time, and then nobody can use the printers. I don't know. I'm just kind of coming up off the top of my head. However, Tina, why don't we incorporate this thinking into what we do going forward? And even if we have to take a step back and and just give it another think, like I think Sean brings a very important perspective to and maybe there's a different way to go about this. Not necessarily policy, but maybe that is the answer. But let's just think about what because like I really value everyone's opinion, and Sean, thank you for speaking out. And we'll kind of put the brakes on this for now, not do it, not stop doing it, but just think about it before we just kind of march forward on it. And Tina, if you want to make sure that you include Sean on the messaging going forward, he's not only green team leadership, but based on what he says, like I'd really like to hear his opinion on what you put together. Yeah, great. All right. Thank you everyone for being real. I love that. Any other thoughts on this before we sort of move on to our next subject, but I also want to acknowledge something in the chat too. Okay, I'm not seeing any. So I did see in the chat from Jay Miller saying that the QR code, the trash bin signs are up in field and SBA. So perhaps Tammy did that because I know she's the one who has the signs. But it sounds like Cody, sounds like some of your work has already been done for you, which is great. And so let's just keep moving forward and see if we can get all of the bins signed in that way. So you can probably use those as a template going forward. Okay, and our next item was actually battery recycling. And Cody, this is your item. I'm not sure if there's any update on this or really maybe we're just where we were last time, which is just fine as well.
There's a bit of an update for it. So we had been exploring partnering with Wayne over in shipping and receiving because we already are contracted out for battery recycling through NLR on campus. With that, though, as we found out today, they are very, very particular about the state in which the batteries can be submitted to them for recycling. They also don't support all battery types without layering with sand and different types of material. Whereas some of the other battery boxes we were exploring are kind of not anything goes, but a little more just put it in and then ship it back to us and we'll accept everything as it comes. So we're still interested in partnering with that existing resource on campus. But for now, we are going to move forward with just ordering, I think, 1 or 2 of the boxes from the initial vendor we found, setting those up, seeing like, do we end up with a lot of lithium batteries in there? Do we end up with things that wouldn't be accepted in that other program? And then sort of just morphing from there. But we're hopeful to have the boxes. I'm hoping sometime in April at this point. And we'll have those at 2 locations on campus and see what we get.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody. I'll keep you on the agenda for next time and maybe you can tell us where they might be located. Maybe we'll have them out and about. Any other questions? Any other thoughts on the battery recycling program? Okay, I'm not seeing anything, so we're chugging right along. Our next item is campus race to zero waste / recyclemania, whatever you like to call it. And I want to thank Sean and Cody, and I don't see Jen here, who have been helping with the dumpster checks and bin checks. And we are in week 6 or 7 now at this point. And I did just check the status right before this meeting, and we've dropped from, we were in number 7. We are now in 8th place in the diversion category. However, our numbers are a little bit down from where they've been in previous years. And there's a number of reasons for that. I know that you folks who have done the checking will say Kutsavitsky dumpster is one of the reasons for that. It has been overloaded to the point where it's overflowing pretty much every time it's been checked. Even when it's been checked and it's not overfilling, it somehow goes from being emptied to being 80–90% full seemingly overnight. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. If maybe they're doing a bunch of cleaning in the theater, which is sometimes the case, or if there's something, some other reason for it. I'm not entirely sure, but it is very unusual from what we've observed in past years, that dumpster being so full all the time. And we're just going to keep going. Like once the competition's over, we'll post it on our site like we normally do, but doesn't look like we're going to be placing in the top 3 this year, which is okay. At least we're tracking it and we're recording it and making notes of what we can do better. That's kind of the main point of the competition. All right, anything else on Recyclemania?
Have we been in contact with Recycle Books about getting that number? Were we able to include that last year in our Recyclemania numbers?
Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to put a note on my my thing to reach out to them. All right, so that's something I'll do because we've only got 2 more weeks left, so I need to get a number. It only counts during the competition, so as long as they came and picked it up sometime during the 8 weeks, we can count that. And if they haven't come to pick it up, there's still enough time to ask them. They only need a few days' notice. So Cody, perfect timing on your mention. We'll be able to get that number included. We also have another shred number. I think shredding's being picked up this week. So even though I'm not entirely, I don't feel 100% great about the accuracy of that number because of the way that it's gathered. It does add a lot to our diversion ratio because it's a lot of shredded recycled paper. Okay, anything else on Recyclemania? All right, I'm not seeing anything. So our next item as we move along is community cleanups this spring. The Green Team normally does a community cleanup. We decided we're going to try to do it at Crosby Elementary School, and we're going to try to do it in late April. We generally get together on a Saturday at some point, and there's typically a rain day too, and we just meet, we pick up as much trash as we can in the few hours that we're there, and we take some pictures, and then we all go home, and the school is a lot cleaner for it. So it'll probably be late April at some point once Tom pointed out how weird this non-winter has been, but usually that is when we do it to kind of plan around winter. This year, non-winter. And there'll be more communication about that. There'll be a post on the Green Team blog, and all the Green Team members will get that. And feel free if you do plan on coming to that when we do it. It's usually a lot of fun. It's just a couple hours out of your morning, and then we're good. Feel free to bring family members if you got any friends that want to come. And so that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else they want to add about community cleanups? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So this might be our last official item on the agenda because Roberta's not here today unless somebody else wants to fill us in on her projects. But Earth Day, we're planning an Earth Day event with student engagement again. And This year, I've heard tell we might have a special guest in the form of Tom Tyning and some guests, but otherwise we're going to do what we've done in past years, have a planting kind of thing where you can plant herbs, you can plant vegetables, excuse me, and student engagement provides these planters and the seeds and the soil, and you get to take those home with you. And we've also had Linda Mary and her jazz plants, as I affectionately refer to them. I love Linda and I love Linda's jazz plants. So I hope she can make it again. And we'll see how it goes this year. I think they've got a few other things planned. And that'll be the Earth Day week, which is the week of April 22nd. 22nd is Earth Day. We just haven't quite figured out the day that it'll be that week. And by the way, that'll be right around the same time we do the community cleanup. It'll be probably the weekend before or after, somewhere in that time frame. Okay, any other thoughts on the Earth Day events? Just if you want to contribute, like just kind of show up. Green Team already usually has a table and you can just kind of sit at it if you want and help people learn about Green Team stuff. I likely won't be there, but any of the other Green Team folks who want to make it there, you know, please feel free to pop in or help out in any way you think is appropriate. All right, if there's nothing else on Earth Day, then I don't know if Cody or anyone, I don't see anybody else who works with Roberta. I don't know if you have any updates on Roberta's stuff. If not, that's okay.
Yep, no real update from her last updates. We're still working through the measurements for the grant funding there. And she has all of her projects that she's working on, but I have no updates
Great.
on those.
Great. I'm sure we will get an update soon because as we come into springtime, I know that's when she likes to really get moving on those things. So that is really the end of our official agenda. I know we have Mackenzie here, and Mackenzie, I'm not sure if you're in a good spot and you want to unmute and you want to take the stage for a moment and share something with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I had a few, there are really more questions since I don't quite know what all is going on campus. Sorry, my video should come soon. So one, and another, just a point that might have already been made in the past. So the first one is I'm going to be doing a small program to try to get more people on campus aware of the community fridges that are in SBA and Connector. And I'm just bringing that up in Green Team because saving food from waste is a great way to be friendly to the environment. So I assume there's been some messaging around whenever there's an event on campus, if there's leftover food, it should go in those fridges. I'm going to try to find out if we can get at least paper packaging from Ajay, because right now I think he brings a lot of plastic, but that's just a general thing that maybe you've already talked about in the past. So, but yeah, one fridge is in SBA and one fridge is in the Connector, and the purpose is like if you're out at a community event, even not on campus, and they have a lot of good food left over, if it could be brought to campus and put in the fridges, students do eat it. So you're being good to the environment and good to our student body at the same time. Second thing I've been trying to understand is if there's interest in growing more food on campus, and everybody tells me to talk to Roberta and she hasn't been available. So if somebody could tell me, should I just talk to her whenever she's back? Because I can be helpful with that process if that's happening and if there's interest.
Well, Cody works directly with Roberta more often than I do, but I can tell you that she is really the main person coordinating the community garden, and that's the garden that's behind SBA. There's a lot of stuff going on there. She's kind of the keeper of what stuff is where. Last I knew, she was working on a map, but I haven't seen that map. But she's kind of the go-to person. It doesn't mean that there may not be other people on campus who are willing to help, but if you're looking to use that space, then you definitely want to talk to Roberta.
Of course, yeah. And we can also, I don't know if there'd be interest in food wise, there are a lot of perennial plants that could be planted in other places that eventually would produce food people could have. But that's, I feel, if people are interested, we could do something like that. It wouldn't take too much maintenance. It'd be kind of like a one work day, get things in the ground and then.
Absolutely. And the best advice I can give you with that is to make sure that you work with facilities on that. There has been a history of, if facilities doesn't know something's there, if it's not marked or labeled, they might run it right over with the lawnmower. So in order to make sure that any work you do is not undone, that is definitely an important step.
Okay, great. And then just for my knowledge, do we compost on campus?
That's a touchy topic. We used to
Maybe I
compost
should have a
on,
meeting with you about that.
well, honestly, it's not, it's a me. I've been bugging the facilities folks because again, they're kind of in charge of this. And really, like, we stopped composting during the pandemic and we never started it up again. We went so far as Green Team actually suggested a bunch of vendors to facilities. And Sean, I'm going to channel you for a moment since we've been speaking some truth. I feel like we've heard more excuses as to why we can't do it as to any other reason. And I absolutely understand that some of the reservations people have are real. Doesn't mean that we can't overcome them some way, shape, or form. And the main reservation that we hear all the time is that the compost is always contaminated. That one cup of coffee dumped in the compost can contaminate the whole bin, and then that is one of the things that frequently comes up, but it's not the only thing. Really, all we have to do is decide that this is something that's a priority for us and we want to get back into doing it again. We used to do it. And we used to do it to such an extent that all of the utensils and forks and everything in the cafeteria were compostable. However, we no longer have a cafeteria. And that is one of the tricky things, like you mentioned. I know, Tina, I saw your hand up. We'll get to you in a moment. With the fridge and the connector and the plastic is when we had a cafeteria, we could kind of control what the containers were because we were running everything in-house. Now we have a third-party vendor, and I love all the people who work there. I love working with the guy. He's really awesome, but he doesn't even have a whole lot of control over what kind of containers are purchased. There's just a lot of plastic in general in the cafe, and it's Sean, I'm channeling you again. It's been something that like has really ground my gears for quite some time. And unless we maybe use that as a way to renegotiate the contract when the contract comes up with the folks who run that area on campus, I'm not sure how much progress we will make, only because the stuff that we are getting ordered is not just for us. It's also being sent to probably dozens or hundreds of different locations that this third-party vendor services. So it is complicated, Mackenzie, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have specifically, and other Green Team folks probably can too. It's one of those issues. The more you try to pull back the layers, the more complicated it becomes. Doesn't mean we can't do it. We just have to make it a priority.
Great. And I just had one last question. Sorry, most
Yeah.
of mine are just questions. Has there been any talk at BCC about having any courses that are related to local food and agriculture?
That would be a question. I don't see any faculty here. I guess I am the only faculty here, which is really a strange scenario for me. But I teach computer science courses, so I'm not going to be all that much help for you on that. You really want to talk to either Tom Tyning or Bruce Wynn. There are two environmental sciences faculty on campus, and they could tell you more about what might be being planned. That said, again, it's kind of like with the composting. It's just a matter of deciding it's a priority and doing it. Some of the questions that often come up with those kinds of questions are enrollments. Like, would we have any students that would enroll in it? Would it be part of a program course or a certificate? Maybe it would be more appropriate as a workshop. But you know, those are the kind of questions that are going to come up from the kind of well, those are the kind of things that are gonna come up from the kind of question that you have.
Great, thank you.
No problem. And you know, Sean, we're being real here today. So like, you know, I really like it, and I like the vibe. Tina, I know you had something to say. Sean, you've got your hand up. Um, Sean, I just called on you, so why don't you, well, Tina, you're unmuted. Why don't you go first?
You covered it, that it's easier to compost when you have a cafeteria because it lends itself to that. And that Epicurean Ajay his hands are, I bet, kind of tied, which you didn't even need me to say that. Yep.
Yeah, I've gone so far when I was on campus every day to even meet with Jai's boss, and I got no answers to any of my emails. It's like they went to a black hole.
And so
So
maybe it's just helpful, and I'll just be quiet after this. Mackenzie, I guess I went here in the 90s and we had a great cafeteria, and in the last few years there's now an actual, not a true cafeteria. It's a different, right? You probably know that, but all right, I'm gonna mute myself again.
and that a little bit of history too, that community garden behind SBA, they used to grow all the salad toppings and everything there. There's just we don't have a cafeteria staff anymore, and they're the ones who first brought that area onto campus that Roberta has taken over and tried to do the best with. So at least it's being used in some capacity. Yeah, but pandemic kind of mixed everything up on our campus, and I think not just us, it's a lot of different campuses too. I mean, I work on another campus now, but we talk all the time here about, oh, this was different before the pandemic. So it's you know, it's just kind of the world that we're all sort of left with, and we do the best we can and try to move forward with it. Sean, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, actually, I have a thing, but I don't want to raise it until it's appropriate because I don't want to step on anyone's shoes. But I wanted to thank Mackenzie for great questions and for being here and for raising those, because I think that's fantastic. And I think that the composting question is to one that I'm particularly interested in. And I think that, sort of summarizing, I think where there's a will, there's a way. So I think we can make this work. And so if you need an ally on that, Mackenzie, or if you want to, like, whatever, like, if I can be helpful in that, please ask. And thanks for being here and raising great questions. And I do have one other thing, but I can raise it at whatever juncture.
Sean, I just want to add before you get to that, that like I was a little grumpy because one of the vendors I recommended to the facilities folks, I saw here at Williams campus, they're the vendor here at Williams. So like why like I'm hearing more reasons why we can't do it. And obviously there's a way to do it. Like we just have to do it. So Sean, I'll leave it to you. Unless Mackenzie, I saw you on mute too. So by all means.
No, I was just saying, I know the person who picks up from Williams, so I could help with coordination if that's needed.
Yep. And the vendor was very, very willing to be flexible with us too. So I hopefully something will happen in that avenue. Maybe it just takes enough people asking and they finally and folks finally get sick of us asking questions and they just do it, because we used to do it to great effect. Maybe we don't have a cafeteria anymore. Maybe we have to rethink it, but those are not reasons to not do it. So Sean, I will let you take it from here on your item.
My item is that I was asked to be on the BCC Ecological Restoration Task Force because of my involvement with the Green Team. And I said that was fine to do that, and I'm doing that. But I did just want to sort of let folks know that that was there and that I had said yes to that, just because I feel like that's kind of a Green Team thing. And wanted to flag in the gentlest way possible that I don't know what, I know there's been some conversations about what we're doing with leadership in the post-Christian era, which is, I think, kind of a momentous thing for the Green Team. And because I just feel like you've done so much for this, Christian. It's kind of, I think our committee should be a little like something about that. I just really appreciate how hard you've worked on this. Cody and I have had some conversations about that, but I guess what I really wanted to say is, one, the BCC Ecological Restoration Task Force is a thing that's happening. Mackenzie, that might dovetail with some of your interests as well. And then I wanted to say that, going forward, if we end up having a different leader, if Cody or someone steps into that, I'm happy to kind of give my seat to that person if the committee feels like, if the Green Team feels it would be better to have a chair on that. I'm not sure. I guess I just wanted to be transparent about that. I'm part
No,
of that task force. I'm happy to,
I'm
whatever's
glad you
helpful.
brought that up because I was kind of strategically not bringing it up, but since we're in the truth zone today, yes, I do plan on stepping down as the main chairperson of the BCC Green Team after this academic year, mainly because I just have too much going on. Not only do I have my full-time position at Williams, and I'm now getting involved in drone stuff here at Williams, which is a whole other thing. And I've also, this semester, I've been teaching 15 credits of courses at BCC as an adjunct computer science professor, and trying to cram in room for the green team. I don't feel like I'm doing the best job that I can. So I'm happy to get us from point A to point B. I could still help with Recycle Mania because I know that's a heavy lift. But considering I'm pretty much donating my free time in order to help do this, and I don't have that much free time to donate. I also have a mom who's getting older all the time, and like I'm a dad. Like I could keep, and again, it sounds like the compost, like I'm just making excuses, but the reality is like, you know, when you have medical professionals saying, Christian, you need to give some stuff up, like sometimes that's like, oh, maybe I do have too much on my plate. Maybe I do, and as much as I love the green team, it's I feel like someone who is present a lot more could do a lot better job. Yet I'm still happy to help transition and anything else that needs to happen. So Heather, I don't know if you're still paying attention, but feel free to share that with anybody in campus leadership too, that we are trying to figure out a way to make the green team work going forward. And I think Cody and Sean are going to be a big part of that. However, it is going to change the way the green team operates. So thank you for bringing the reality zone, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Well, and so I just wanted to say too, I part of my rationale for that is just that I think you've done so much work and you have been such a sort of a force for the green team. So I think that transition feels really important to me. I know Cody and I have had conversations about how important we feel the green team is, and not wanting to kind of lose ground on that, and wanting to make sure that there's a good transition and that we keep doing this work. So but yeah, sorry if I publicly announced something that we weren't publicly announcing.
No, it's actually right in the spirit of this meeting. So I appreciate that.
All right. Okay.
All right. And I'm not sure if anybody else has anything they'd like to add to that. Green Team's looking for leadership. So if it's something that folks are interested in, talk to Sean and Cody. And even though I don't know what the new model will look like, but if you want to be a part of it, now is the time to reach out and let that be known.
It's noted that sort of the conversation, and I will sort of let that be shared with executive and president's cabinet. But I would also maybe say let the green team. We have had a lot of transitions in staff, so it might be a time as sort of spring is coming, blah, 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 do a reintroduction to campus and look at different ways to do that and re-engage people, and then see what the green team wants to take on for next year or the rest of this year. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it can go, and there's only so many people, and the call for volunteers, I think, is important.
Yeah.
And so sort of if folks want to sort of think about like what are the projects that can be taken on easily with more volunteers, and then put the calls out for those. Like town halls, a quick green team walk around campus, get to know folks, do a trash pickup on campus, just a check-in, those. So just some ideas to look at ways to engage folks, or
No, awesome. Thank you, Heather. That's really helpful. And I really appreciate you passing the message along too. That's that is also super helpful. All right, so we've gone through all the items on our agenda. We've been super honest with each other today. I feel like I'm leading some sort of group therapy session, but that's okay. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add before we adjourn for today and wrap it up? Again, our next meeting's in 3 weeks, 3 weeks from today. We meet every 3 weeks. And we've had some new people added, so I'll try to remember to send those out fresh. And maybe we'll get some more people added when I send that email out over the next couple of days, and people can see all the things the Green Team's been working on. So here's your chance. I'm going to be quiet for a moment in case anyone wants to speak up. All right. And I do see in the chat, Erica asked, can students be part of the task force? Yeah, just let whoever was speaking about the topic know that you want to help out. And I think pretty much everybody wants to have a bigger team and can always use help. So just, reach out and let folks know. Okay, I'm not seeing any other topics. So again, thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you everybody for being real today. And I'll see all of you again in 3 weeks. And have a good spring break.